All right, notice of a regular meeting of the City of Friendswood Planning and Zoning Commission to be held Thursday, February 16th, 2017, beginning at 7 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall located at 910 South Friendswood Drive, Friendswood, Texas. I'd like to call our meeting to order. And we could begin with any communications from the public. Anyone from the public like to speak? Seeing none, then moving on to item 3, our consent agenda, approval of the minutes from February 6, 2017, a special and regular meeting, and a final plat of Friendswood Lakes Boulevard. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Show it to pass unanimously. Item 4 on our agenda has been pulled for tonight per the developer having some outstanding issues that he's working on to fulfill some city requirements. So we'll go on to item 5, consideration and possible action regarding electing a new chairman and vice chairman. I'd like to at this time ask for nominations for chairman.
I'd like to nominate Craig Lovell with his permission.
I have a nomination for Commissioner Lovell. Is there any other nominations? Seeing none, then as many as are in favor of Chairman Lovell, or of Craig Lovell, Commissioner Lovell for chairman, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Show it to be unanimous. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Moving on then to nominations for vice chairman. Do I have a nomination for vice chairman?
I would like to nominate Rhonda Neal
I have a
with her permission.
nomination for Rhonda Neal as vice chairman. Any other nominations? Seeing none, then, as many as are in favor of Commissioner Neal for vice chairman, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
All right, show it to be unanimous.
Look at that.
Item 6, consideration and possible action regarding future planning and zoning meeting dates. Aubrey?
Yes, sir. Our next regular scheduled meeting would be Thursday, March 2nd. We might possibly need to have that meeting if the Friendswood Trails folks come back and want to have their preliminary plat on that agenda. We do have need to meet with council on Monday, March 6th. We do have a SUP amendment that's going to require joint public hearing and recommendation. And then our regular meeting for March is going to be Thursday, March 16th, the second meeting for that month.
Fantastic.
We'll be in touch about March 2nd.
Becky, anything for us? Okay. And item 7, communications from the commission. Richard the first?
Got nothing.
Richard the second?
Nothing here.
Nothing today.
All clear, nothing here.
I would like to say thank you very much. This is my last P&Z meeting. I'll be resigning. Really enjoyed working with all of you. I have learned so much from being on here, and wouldn't trade this experience for anything. And just want to say thanks. Best of luck. I'll be watching.
Very good. And if I might, I would like to take item 8 out of order, communications from our city council liaison, and then I'll leave my communications at the very end. You have anything for us, Steve?
Are we on here? I just wanted to say the work you all did on the big box stores was outstanding, absolutely outstanding, and from getting to watch it from both your side of the process and then from the council side was really a pleasure. You know, I was the one that kind of initiated that. Oh, it's been a year and a half ago, and it was initiated with an honest desire to do something, and you guys took what was probably very poor advice and turned it into a real gem. And what I saw from that was the absolute power of this group in doing analysis and looking at something across the board, and then coming back to council with a complicated but well thought out plan. So, you know, I think from, you know, talking to other people on council, and the same thing, they had the same feeling is, you know, that's a role we really like you guys to play. You're really good at it, and it's very helpful to us. So congratulations, that was a nice piece of work, and there'll be a test on logarithmic scale.
Well, I can almost guarantee you Craig will be the only one on this commission taking it. Well, tonight is a special night also for myself. This is the end of 10 years sitting up here. And I just would like to say it has been very, very special to have been born in this community in 1955, been here my whole life, raised a family, been through its schools, had a 33-year business in the community, and then to be on this end of life asked to come back and be part of planning the next generation's Friendswood has just been really, really special. And so many thanks to those who invited me and gave me that opportunity. I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank staff, Aubrey, Becky. This commission knows well, the public needs to, that these are two of the hardest working ladies that I know, incredibly helpful, and they really are what make our job work. Additionally, I had a couple of thoughts about our commissioners. I'd like to just acknowledge Richard Sasson. And Richard came on with us this last year. He immediately had a passion and just an enthusiasm that was infectious, I think, to the entire commission. And, you know, you just really couldn't ask for more in a new hire. And it's just been great having him. I don't think the public at large is aware of the fact, but if you look carefully in our downtown area, there are telephone poles that are beginning to go missing. These telephone poles were identified by one of the great walkers in our city, Commissioner Sasson, who up and down, spotted telephone poles that oftentimes did not have wires on them. Others had very minimal wiring. He did all of the vetting as to who were the controlling parties of those poles. He has worked tirelessly to pull out now a total of, we've got 7, and we've got more on the way.
Hopefully, yep.
And you might say, well, 7 telephone poles in your downtown, what does that really mean? Well, you know, in and of themselves, any single pole, maybe not that much, but what we've learned over this period of time that each of us have served here is that each little eyesore in the community that is removed or improved, cumulatively at some point you stand back and go, downtown's looking better. Not sure why, but it's looking better. And so those are the kinds of efforts that take place from these commissioners, and our city is looking better, it works better, and many thanks, Richard.
Thank you. I'm not alone. Many others have helped on this.
Also like to express my appreciation for Richard II, Richard Borghese, Commissioner Borghese. Richard came to us a couple of years back. His expertise in his personal life is in the oil and gas industry. As many of you know, we basically are on the top of one of the great oil finds for Exxon back in the early 20s and 30s. And so our city is literally riddled with pipelines, pipeline easements, production. And so many of the plats that we have rolled out over the last few years since Richard has been with us, he has been the one who has had the ability to look at what are the issues for setbacks, product carry, safety, etc. And so he's really made a real contribution from that personal expertise that he brought to our commission. So many thanks, Richard. To my right is now Chairman Lovell. And I would just say that I think that this commission has been a high-functioning commission, especially the last 4 or 5 years. Of the 10 that I've been here, I don't know that I've ever seen a more productive commission. And the bar is pretty high, but you have a man stepping into the chairmanship of this commission, and there will be no loss. In fact, I believe that the best days of this commission are yet ahead of it under his leadership. So many thanks. Additionally, this last year we had a large retailer, I guess one of the first really large retailers that actually I guess 2 years ago talked about entrance into our city. We listened to feedback from the citizens of Friendswood as to what their feelings were about that, and though legally there's no way to just absolutely preclude their entry, we were told that we could help mold them into a commercial entity within our borders that was reflective of the characteristics and values of our community. With that in mind, Commissioner Lovell put together a commission, a subcommittee of this committee, of this commission, and they worked diligently for 8-9 months and came back with multiple tweaks and what have you, and I believe have, as Councilman Rocky said earlier, given us a real gem, something that, one, allows us to realize the advantages of business, large business within our borders, but that is reflective of our community's values. And Chairman Lovell and his committee were responsible for that, so many thanks. To my left, Commissioner Branson. She came on board about the same time as Commissioner Lovell, and she has just brought something that was missing a bit up here, a little bit of the sense of what the sensitivities of our community were. A lot of times us guys get up here and we know the nuts and bolts perhaps of the actual dirt moving and what have you, but what we can a lot of times miss are the feelings of the community, and that is just as important. What are the values of our community? And so she has consistently brought that, and it's been invaluable to us, so thank you very much, Sally. And then to the left, also Commissioner Annan. Tony, when we did his interview, Tony is a special guy, and we could tell right away that this was a fella who had extensive knowledge of the very kinds of large-scale development that we think will be taking place, especially commercially, between now and build-out of our city. Not many people realize it, but his company, Warwick Construction, is one of the largest commercial constructors in the United States. And we as a commission have benefited unbelievably from that. I cannot remember a night when we have rolled out a commercial plat and looked at all the details that Tony did not catch something that perhaps all the rest of us were missing. And those are the kinds of mixes of gifts and talents that have been on this commission that I think have made us so effective. So thank you, Commissioner Annan. And finally, and not at all least, Commissioner Neal. When Craig and I interviewed Rhonda some time back now, now Vice Chair Rhonda Neal, we were impressed with the fact that she asked good questions. And a big part of this job is not just making decisions, but making sure before you decide you've asked good questions. She asked us good questions in that interview, and there's been no drop-off after she became part of our commission. She consistently asks the good questions and has that other great attribute of what I consider the very best commissioner that you get, and that's somebody that will say, well, I drove that site today, and when I stood there and looked at it, this is what I saw. And you can roll out a plat up here and get an impression of what something should be or should be, but there's nothing that really compares to eyes on the ground. So thank you very much, Commissioner Neal. With that said, tonight's my last night, and I've got a little gift for the commissioners. Just pass that out real quickly.
It's two gifts, you already gave me one.
That's Richard the second. Thank you. Rich, I've actually got a better picture of the house. The one that I had for you, I don't know why, but somewhere between when I put it in the frame and when I brought it up tonight, so I'm gonna get you a better one.
Okay,
That's very kind.
but this isn't too bad, either, so.
Thank you.
So. So again, it's been a real privilege. I will miss being with you guys, but as Sally said, I'll be watching. And I know I will never be disappointed. And with that, we stand adjourned.